A couple days ago, I was watching a Patrick Bet-David video. It was a seminar for entrepreneurs at the start of the year. And he spoke about how there are going to be three types of people this year. There's going to be the 90% who are going to start off averaging 7 out of 10 days, and eventually they're going to drop off, and their lowest in the year is going to be 1 out of 10, and they're going to spend the majority of the year just having 1 out of 10 days, right? Then there's the top 10%. That's the people that are going to start off averaging 8 out of 10s, and their lowest is going to be a 6 out of 10. The lowest day they're going to have all year is going to be a 6 out of 10. Then there's the top 1%. These are the people you cannot compete with. They start off with 10 out of 10 days, and their lowest are 8 out of 10 days. And that got me thinking, right? I don't know if you've heard this quote before, but it's, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. I found this quote in a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. Fantastic book, by the way, if you want to read it. You should go read that. It's the best book you'll get on habits. It's amazing, right? But going back to my point, it was about how you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems, right? The systems you set, the routines you do every day, the daily habits you have, right? And Patrick Bet-David, he said something that stuck with me. The moment he said it, I was just like, that is perfect. That is perfect. That explains me, right? It was, you don't judge your year or the progress you've made in your year on the top 50 days you've had. You judge it on the bottom 100 days you've had, okay? So if your top 10 days, if your top 10 days are 10 out of 10s, you've been a monster, you've been productive, you've been as productive as anyone can be. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's about your bottom 100 days. What were those like? Were those 0 out of 10s, 1 out of 10s, 2 out of 10s? Right? Because that's a third of your year. A third of your year has been a 2 out of 10. That's going to bring your average down. Right? So it's important to raise the base. If you're in a position where you're not making progress, and this is somewhere I spent 2022 in, right? I was making some progress, but I started tapering off towards the end of the year. I had a lot of inconsistent days, and eventually I had a good year, objectively looking at everything I achieved. But I know inside of me, I had a bad year. Like, I could have done so much more. And the reason for that was that my bottom 100 days were absolutely terrible. There was 0 out of 10s, right? And if you're stuck in a place like that where you're struggling to make progress, you're in that, Hamza called it self-improvement depression, where it's like you've been making some progress, but now you're tapering off, like you're falling again. In fact, you might even be worse off than you were when you started, right? You need to stop focusing on like trying to jump even higher, right? It's like, oh, I've missed my last couple of workouts. I'm going to go even harder in the gym next. It's not about that. It's not about how hard you go in the gym the next week or two, right? It's about what were your worst gym sessions like for the year? Your bottom 100 gym sessions, what were those like, right? So it's important to just raise the base, because obviously if that's your lowest, like going back to what you were saying, the top 1%, their lowest would be an 8 out of 10. Imagine if your worst day in the year was an 8 out of 10 productivity. Now, obviously, that's the top 1%. Those are like crazy people. Those are the guys who become like billionaires, or they hit like 9 figures and that sort of thing. Most of us, I'm just going to be honest with you, most of us are never going to reach there. But it's cool. Like, most of us don't need to reach there. Most of us don't want to reach there. But I wanted to be in that second bracket, that top 10%. When he said it, I was like, yes. If my bottom 100 days are an average of 6 out of 10 this year, that would be a fantastic year. If your worst is a 6 out of 10, that means you just maintained. You sort of just carried on. You just coasted. That's perfect. And I think that's what you should be aiming for. You should be aiming to jump out of that bottom 90%, or the top 90%. It's the bottom 90%. You should be aiming to get into that top 10%, right? Make sure your worst days are still at a decent level. That is how you're actually going to start achieving all the goals you want to achieve. And that's all I got for this video. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button for more videos like that. And until next time, I'll see you boys.